something that I had to do. I mean, I couldn't go back to Memphis without having a degree. I've always been in a position to want to give back to where I came from, which led me in my heart to get into teaching and coaching. And I just never looked back. I mean, some of the kids.
Welcome to Justmen, a life changing program that resonates hope as well as encouragement. The program that gives you information and inspiration for the glory of God. I'm your host, Jeff Tate, and thank you for joining Justmen. On today's program, we have a very special guest. This is his first time being on Justmen. Please welcome Wamon Buggs. Wamon, welcome to Justmen.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for inviting me, and a pleasure to be here.
Oh man, it's a tremendous blessing for you to be on the program. I know we have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
I really want to dive in and hit the ground, but before we kind of start getting into the biography of your life, share a little bit about, your upbringing and so forth, and who is Wamon Buggs.
As we say back in Memphis, I'm Gertie B. Campbell's baby boy. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. Specifically, the neighborhood was called Orange Mound. Matriculated to Nashville years ago and played football on a scholarship. And here we are. Met my wife here in Nashville, and I've been here ever since. Won't let me go back to Memphis. So
Won't let you go back to the
won't
bluff,
let me go
huh?
back. But, I love it here in Nashville, and raised two beautiful girls, and here I am.
Yeah, wow. Well, I know that behind the scene, when I call the story behind the glory of your life, I mean, of course, going to Vanderbilt and going and playing professional football and things of that nature. Let's begin to talk about your mindset growing up in your home,
Yes.
particularly as a young man, and what kind of men that were in your life and model and shaping you in the direction in terms of your focus. Let's start there.
That's a very good question, Jeff. My mother was pretty much my father and my mother. I had a stepfather in the home, but she was the glue to our family. Being the middle of three children, we were very close. As I got older, I learned a lot of the qualities of what a man should be, especially in fatherhood. So my lessons were different, as I share with the students that I work with today, to be respectful for what you do every day, be respectful to women, and she taught me a lot about fatherhood. So when I did have my first child, there was no question of doing the right thing, because I saw all the negatives. A lot of kids have no fathers in the home. My father was not in the home with me, but she kept instilling in me, these are the qualities you have to have. So when I had my first child, there was no second guessing. I knew what I had to do, and it made it easier for me.
Yeah.
So she's the reason why I'm here. She's the very reason to give me that foundation to be a respectable person and to always give back and be the best you can be.
Yeah, in your growth and your development stage, particularly in college and then transcending into being a professional athlete, talk a little bit about some of the pivotal time in your life. Would you reflect back on some of the things she taught you and you've learned, and how to carry yourself? You talked about being respectful and
Yes.
how to stay focused is what I call. Is there any pivotal time you remember that you really had to draw back on that experience and what you learned?
Well, she didn't spread her rod. I mean, I was one of the ones she had to put the switches and everything else on. Just when I left to go to college, the very first thing that she sat down with me and she gave me a Bible, and she signed it. I still have it. It was a New Living version, and she dated it and everything, and that's the first thing she gave me to take with me. So she knew I was going to be away, but I had the ability to be individual, self-centered, and she said, "Hey, take this with you, and this is your guide." And that was probably the most pressing memory. And the other one was my uncle, my mother's baby brother. Back in the day, we had the afros and all that. She said, he told me, "You're gonna have to cut this hair off. You're not going to Nashville representing the group of people you're going to be around. You're going to a different world. You're going to have to play the part. You're going to have to play both sides of the fence, and you got to learn how to adjust to where you're going. But you can't go up there with all this hair on your head." So I had to cut all my hair off. I felt like the movie Samson. I just lost all my strength. But as I reflect back, those were moments that I cherished and stuck with me, and it just never forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about expectations, and particularly the expectations of the people around you. I know as I was a former athlete as well, and then going on in college
Hmm.
and excelling scholastically in terms of my college, but there was so much pressure on me to be this, this, this image
Yes.
that others had of me. And many times I found my life following that pattern
Right.
versus my own decisions and what I wanted to do. Did you ever have any struggles with that?
It
And what does
was
that
it
mean?
was tough, Jeff. We we were Hamilton High School was very competitive academically. Um, I wanted to be the best at what I was doing. I played all sports. Uh, Memphis preps, best of the preps at that time. So there was a lot of pressure to determine, okay, well, you're going to go to school to play basketball, you're going to play football. I had scholarships in all sports. I knew my parents couldn't afford to send me. That was my ticket. Yes, I had to um, use what God had given me to get out of the house, if you would, get out of the hood, so to speak. And it worked for me. So the pressure was there, but back then we did it like it was nothing. We played sports every day, whatever season. There was no videos or Nintendos that we played. We either played baseball, and it just was something natural. And I just took advantage of what God had given me and ended up deciding to play football at Vanderbilt as opposed to, basketball or baseball, some other opportunities that I had. And it was close. It wasn't far from Memphis. Mom could come up and visit, so it worked out. But
Yeah.
the pressure, I guess we were instilled by the great coaches that I had in basketball, baseball, all the sports. It was you either had to be the best or you just it was a survival situation. So you just had to do what you had to do. Um, Getting to the NFL part of it, that was a whole different animal with the politics and you're trying to shine and again you just do what you were taught and blessed to do and it just happened to work out for me. I'm very fortunate to have that experience. Doesn't I hadn't pinched myself yet, but you reflect back and the students, coach, you did this, yeah, I feel it now, but you don't think about those things till you start getting a little old and like, wow, you watch the game now, these guys are getting hurt, these big bodies. I'm like, man, did I do that? Was I crazy enough to do that? But you just do what you have to do to survive. And that was my ticket out of Memphis to get a scholarship and, make sure that I was not going back to Memphis without having that onion skin, if they say. I had to get that degree. And again, here we are now. I met my wife when I moved back to Nashville, and I've been here ever since.
Now, I know something that's very dear to your heart, and I want to talk about that and kind of shift gears from the athletic side of your
Hmm.
life, but the scholastic or the academic side of your life, how the importance of education is to you. Talk a little bit about education and what you're doing now
Hmm.
as a backdrop to that inspiration that education has been for you.
Well, Jeff, it's the things that my mom taught me, my aunts, and of course my baby uncle, all bless his heart. It just it was something that I had to do. I mean, I couldn't go back to Memphis without having a degree. I've always been in a position to want to give back to where I came from, which led me in my heart to get into teaching and coaching. And I just never looked back. I mean, some of the kids don't have the ability to understand how this world functions, and that education is a foundation. It's not going to, as I tell kids, it's not going to make you wealthy, but if you don't have it, you won't have a chance to be.
Mm.
Anybody can be a millionaire if things happen and luck strikes properly, but if you don't have that foundation to, as we call them, the 3 hours, reading, writing, and arithmetic, not with the W, but with the R, I still say the same old school messages. And hey, look, you need to have this foundation to help you as you transition into life. You can meet people from all walks of life if you go to college and meet people that you probably never would have run into. So it's very, very important. Again, as I tell students, it's not going to make you rich. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can get a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree. You got people that have no college education that are millionaires, but unfortunately, that's only a small percentage. But the average person today, especially of a minority culture, we need a foundation to get us to that next level.
Yeah, wow.
Very important. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What do you see from your perspective? I know as a teacher,
Mhm.
obviously a coach, obviously as someone who work with young people, what do you see are some of the challenges today with our young people? Uh, and it may be many things, but what
Mhm.
seems to be more of the beacon of light that seems to keep hitting on that? It seems to be a central challenge that a lot of young people are facing today.
They have so many hurdles to climb. You have drugs. You have. I can't say a single parent household is a problem, but it could be. Um, you can put that into to data and say, well, this could be a determining factor as to why a young girl or boy is not doing well. But they have so many challenges out there with drugs, the gangs. You know, their bodies are maturing quicker than, of course, when we came through. Mentally, they may not be there, and that's foundations that are missing at home. The church is missing. You know, kids aren't putting church family like it's supposed to be. They got recreation, entertainment. The balance is backwards, and I think that's a big factor that's missing. Everybody's chasing the quick dollar. We're a microwave society, and we lose track of the basic steps you have to go through to be successful. And in my experiences, it was church first, family, and then the other. Now it seems to be it's reversed. It's more we're gonna have fun first. Church is almost last, and I don't know where family comes into this. So we don't have the structure with family where you sit down and you break bread together, have Sunday dinners, the traditional soul food type shows that are on. I don't see that happening as much, you know.
Wow.
And it's a problem. The things that we eat, you know, as you said, go back to the show Soul Food. You had, you know, Southern cooking.
Hmm.
I think kids are eating fast food more now. They're not eating a balanced diet, and it's affecting them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know one of the things, and you and I have had a conversation in the past about uh, how society now has made it very hard for, when I was growing up, my coaches were almost like surrogate fathers as an athlete. And in many other men in my life that was instrumental in guiding the gift of God inside of me. And then they were not fearful about the relationship with me.
Right.
But now society seems to, a lot of coaches have to be, and teachers,
Yes.
have to be very reserved about the relationship and guiding, you know, this beautiful mind or this
Right.
person and molding and shaping them because of, you know, from Sandusky to all the other
Right.
issues in terms of coaching. How do you address that as a teacher when you have young people? You remember you said your mom didn't spare the rod. She's
Right.
very disciplined, but
Right.
now you're in a society that you can't exercise discipline. And then you can't even exercise where a child needs love. A lot of
Right.
these young people need love and affirmation, so it's hard to do that. So how do you balance as a teacher in being effective in your
The biggest
genre?
thing, Jeff, is not changing. I still, you know, I had great coaches. They were very strict. I mean, some of the things they did back then would probably be in the news. And we have to be careful what we say now with the religious. You know, some prayer cannot be put into sports. I'd still try to be who I am and sit down with the parents, let them know, you know, who I am. If a kid needs a ride or if they're hungry, they need clothing, I still don't change. Now, some of the situations I've been in, that was not allowed, and different counties are different. But I don't waver too much from that. I still try to keep an open dialogue with the parents, so they can get a feel like we're sitting down talking, look them eye to eye. This is what we have. This is what this person is doing. This is what they're not doing. I'm going to be firm here, but I'm also going to be firm on each side. So I try not to change. I don't try to waver. And sometimes it's been situations where I've been looked at as well, you're a little bit too rough. Well, no, if you don't change it, then, you know, you're not helping the kid. So I try to stay even keeled and be careful with the diversity of the schools now. You have to respect the different cultures. And it's also a learning environment, also for me, because, you know, I'm interested in learning Spanish, and, you know, I got a lot of kids that I can't speak to in their language. It's interesting. So I try to be careful what I say in certain things, but I still will correct the kid in a minute and look, no, we're not doing that. No, no, no. You have to be firm and not be afraid of the kids. A lot of people we have in society or in the schools that, you know, they just don't understand, and you just can't be soft with some kids. They still need discipline. They want discipline. You just have to be careful how you implement it. No, I'm not saying paddle them or anything. I don't do any of that. If I can't speak to them like we're talking now, then we got problems.
Yeah.
So I don't change. I'm still coach. I'm still showing them how to be successful, what things they need to do to be successful, and either they're going to listen to it, abide by it, or they're not. And that's all you can pretty much do in that situation.
Wow.
Yeah. But give them my story and try to relate it to where they are today and say, hey, I haven't seen anything that you are not doing or plan on doing, so don't even, don't try that with me. So, but as long as they know that you really care and you're real with them, they can pick a person that's not real easily, very easily. So I try to, be who I am on and off the court, in and out of the school building. And if I see them in the grocery store, I see kids I taught 15 years ago, hey, Coach Bugs, how you doing? I'm like, wow, I don't remember the kid's name. I'm like, wow, you just never know. So it's important to be a role model for them. And I know a lot of Charles Barkley made that comment, we're not your role models, but we really are. We have to be role models for these kids and show them what they should be doing correctly, and hopefully they'll abide by it.
Wow, that's beautiful. I know there's so many questions I want to ask you
Yes.
in terms of your faith.
Yes.
And I'll start from the top, particularly as it relates to what has been the greatest test of your faith.
Oh, patience. Just reflecting back with my grandmother giving me the Psalms of David, 23, 27, which were my favorite verses. I never forgot those. The hardest part, Jeff, is balancing socially, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. That's still a struggle as an African-American male today. You look across America, why is only that 1% wealthy? Why can't this be a shared responsibility? So that balance is still something I'm still striving for. We grew up as men with this tough image. We got to be tough. We got to be tough. We can't cry, all this, and you miss the part where God has already promised to give us everything we wanted, but we chase this society that's full of fake dreams, and we chase it. And I'm at the point in my life, I'm like, okay, I got to put this in balance. How do I do that? And the answer is easy. God is first. And sometimes we get sidetracked, but that's something that I'm still striving to ask God to lead me in the right direction. What do you want me to do? I've been trying to do it my way and do it this way, and that's the biggest thing for me right now. Put Him first, and everything else will take care of itself.
Wow.
Yes, that's basic. It's real simple. It took me 52 years to realize that, but basically that's where I am in my life, is to put Him first, and everything else will take care of itself. Because He said He'll give us everything we need.
Wow, that's
so I'm chasing this house, this car, this whatever, and He's already said, I'll give you more than you could ever imagine. So what's the problem? You chase the world, and that's not where it's at.
Wow.
So, and in talking to the kids in school, I have to be careful. I can't relay that message that way. I have to say it a different way. But and that's based on how I carry myself and what I do and what they see me do. Hopefully that light will shine through them. But that's how I get away from getting in trouble saying something from a religious standpoint. But that's my schooling for me right now, is to seek Him first and to ask Him to lead me where He wants me to go from this point forward.
Wow, that's beautiful. When I look back on, I call it the morning of my life, the afternoon of my life, and the evening of my life. And the morning of my life, what I thought was fulfillment was the desires of the flesh. It was the attainment, the acquisition, the possession, the titles, the labels. Many times athletes are driven as a result of that process. And then when they get there and they find that it's empty and it's void and it still doesn't bring the fulfillment.
That's true.
Some would say, well, I need more of it. So then they keep more and they become addicted to that process. And then when the afternoon comes, that epiphany, the light begins to come on, and then they realize that there's more to happiness, there's more to fulfillment, and that's obviously God's word coming in and beginning to change and stir things up. And I laid that foundation before I go into the evening of my life. I still feel that I'm in the evening, moving into the evening of my life, where I'm becoming one with God, and that I desire the spiritual things more, than I do the natural things.
Right.
And that is a condition that I had to renew my mind to get into. It just didn't happen
Right.
overnight because I've been so conditioned to pursue the things and the desires of my flesh
Right.
and my desires, and not the desires and to fulfill the things of God. When you reflect in your life, and we talk about the morning of your life and the afternoon of your life, how did you define fulfillment in the morning of your life?
Boy, in the morning, that's interesting how you broke that to morning and afternoon. I guess as I became a father, Jeff, that's when things changed for me. So that morning piece had to be when my first daughter was born, my baby was born. That was my morning because I had to reflect back, as I told you, what my mom said and the negative things. When you have a divorce in a family and all the negativity that goes with that. I never forgot the conversation she had, and I didn't understand it when I was small, but as I got older, mom has wisdom, and so that's my morning. When she was born, I'm like, okay, here we go. This is the drill. You've already been through this. You know what you've got to do. Things change. You're not first anymore. You have a little one that you're responsible for. The evening, afternoon is my lovely wife. That's where the buck stops with those two, and I'm not first in that situation anymore. They come before me, and as Christ says, you love your wife like you love the church, and that's the part I'm still. We don't complete our week unless we're in church on Sunday. So I have a spouse that if we're not in together in church, we don't have a good week. So if I'm not there with her, I don't have a good week, because she's going to make sure I'm reminded, you didn't go to church with me on Sunday. So we do that together. So as they say, families that pray together, stay together. So we're in church. When we go, we're together. When we don't go, we're together at home or whatever. But that's my morning and my night. And of course, we got grandkids now, so that's another morning that we got one going in college, and now we have two more. That's I have a stepdaughter by the name of Allison Hamer, and here we are again. The fatherhood is revolving again. So, but this time I want to do it a little differently, and my mindset is a little focused on God first, and the other stuff doesn't matter. What car you drive, or I've been in the expensive homes. I've had the clothes, the travel. That's all great, but it's just a different avenue for me, and to see Christ first, and to I don't know what he's going to give me. He may give me more than I could ever imagine. So I can't wait to that day happen. To that day's happen.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. I know Solomon in Ecclesiastes talks about vanity and vexation of spirit. He says that all of it is vanity, and,
yes.
and how only that which is for Christ, only that which is for God is everlasting and fulfilling. Is that part, and that really is a transition, because it's very difficult to transition from being self-centered to being selfless, as Christ says when he says, man of the love, his wife as Christ loved the church, and he gave himself. He gave himself, and he is to water his wife with the word. And one of the things, and it's leading to my next question, I could recall in my life where I made church a religion, and it lasts momentarily, but but my wife didn't see a change in me.
Wow.
Church was used. I used church again almost to fulfill my flesh, because what happened was, I said, if I go to church, then my wife will not complain as much, or she won't.
I got you.
She was saying, oh, I'm happy because you're going to church. But then it started getting old, because she realized, well, wait a minute, you're going to church, but I'm not seeing a change in the home.
In the home, I got you, right.
So it's not really the desire of my wife. This is my wife speaking. My desire is not really for you to go to church. My desire is for you to line up with God.
Wow.
That you be one with God, that you have the character of God in the church and out of the church. More significantly, out of the church. Because in the four walls, she said, oh, yeah, there you go again, handshaking, playing politician, playing religious. But when you get home, you don't walk in patience. You don't walk in love. And I was a youth pastor, and it was like, man, so I had to begin to as one of the guests says, turn my video into audio, to where my actions had to line up with my words.
Wow.
And so, but I had to start where I was. I would get the word, but I only was going just to get the word, but I wasn't going to live the word.
Right.
And I say that to say, my wife has been that instrument to help me to grow
Wow.
into the things of God, not my pastor, not, and what's amazing, not the church. It's been who I had to be with the most.
That's true. And that's your wife. That's,
You know,
that's important.
you know,
Yeah.
the people of the church.
Right.
I can, yeah, okay. I learned the language, and I learned how to almost manipulate myself in that part. But then God says, son, you need to change your heart.
Right.
You need to change your mind. And I say that to say, and I want to begin to talk about our wives and how instrumental they are in help shaping us and forming our mindset, because that's another area in our life that we have to grow in. A lot of times men have a difficult times in relationships,
Right.
particularly with our wives, and even men who are dating, you know, with other women.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your wife in terms of your relationship and your union, how you've seen it grow over the years as a result of your change.
That's a very intriguing question, Jeff. It again, as they say, history repeats itself. I had to reflect back on my mother's and father's relationship, the good and the bad of it.
Right.
Didn't last long, but you still have fun memories. Dad is dad, mom is mom. And when Courtney was born, I had to, okay, are you going to fall back in your father's footsteps and follow what he did not do as a father, or are you going to remember what mom said? And basically, I decided, hey, this is what I need to do. I'm not going to have a child and not be with the mother or marry the mother. And that's basically that was my decision. And today, she's been the bone, the backbone, the I could have so many adjectives, but coming from a rough athlete, the self-centeredness, the driven, the team approach. Well, now I've got a lovely spouse that I've got to turn everything over to her. I mean, she's it for me. I'm not in lead anymore. It's not like I'm taking care of myself and I can go and come and I please. I have to respect that other person. She's been, oh man, she's probably saved my life at this point. And I'm still, as I say with God, I'm trying to look, what do you need me to do? I'm not up front. I'm not catching footballs anymore. I'm swinging a golf club now. So how do what do you want me to do with my time to be a vessel for you? And that's where I am with my wife. And she just, like I say, just a beautiful person, and the relationship between her and the daughter and the grandkids that just came, I could see the love for them, and I just try to stay out of the way and support, chime in when I need to. I just know where my place is. So that's where I am with it. Wow. But God has to be my first choice of contact to lead me to handle situations, because I'm not perfect by no means. I still make mistakes, and I just ask him for guidance and wisdom to carry on. This is I'm at that first quarter, second quarter, I'm in the third quarter of my life now. So I can't go back to first anymore. So pretty soon with his blessings, I'll be in the fourth quarter, and this life is just flown by so quickly. So I cherish every moment that we have. We're empty nesters, and we just try to enjoy each other when we can.